Hi there, James Armstrong here. This is
Anthony Wilmot.
wonderful, and we're here today to talk about the top 5 things you need to be a successful property sourcer. And the number one, the first thing you should always get done is your compliance. So the first thing you're going to want to get sorted is your professional indemnity insurance. This varies in terms of cost, but it's around about £140 to £250 a year. You're going to need at least £100,000 worth of cover, but it's the first thing you want to get sorted. There are a couple of brokers out there that actually provide a specialist package for people who are doing property sourcing. The second thing you want to get done is your data protection license. Now, this you do online with the ICO. Takes about 10-15 minutes, and you can just post a form off or pay online. Again, very, very, very cheap. The third thing you're going to want to get is definitely your anti-money laundering registration. It can take 3 to 6 months to actually get the full license come through, but as soon as you've registered with them, you can carry on trading. And then the last thing you're going to want to need to get is actually your be registered with a REDRESS scheme, either the PRS or the TPO. Both are very, very good. Obviously, you're going to need your professional indemnity insurance registration when you do that. The entire compliance costs around about £1,000, maybe £1,200. A lot of it you can claim the VAT back if you're VAT registered. So the first thing you're going to want to get done is definitely your compliance. What's the second point you would say for being a successful property sourcer?
Okay, so the second thing about being a successful property sourcer is around finding investors. So the most important thing with this is your networking. So it's important to get out there, to network with local events, to share what it is you're doing. So if you're going to view properties, you're sourcing in specific areas, network with everybody, because you never know what people have got and you never know what people are looking for. So you might think that an investor is actually buying property for themselves and you might be able to service their needs. Second thing with this is about engaging with a local community. The local community might be at networking events, so get down and do some speaking or get down and engage with the community there. Or it might actually be commenting on posts online. So if somebody asks for something or somebody asks comments and questions, try and share some value with them because all this adds to engaging with the community and obviously builds yourself up as a reputable sourcer to help you find investors.
Yeah, that's really good for your local areas. If you want to source near you, that's a really, really good point there, yeah.
And the last point with this is about giving away free gifts. So a great property sourcer always gives away free gifts to the investors. This might be something simple like a return on investment calculator if an investor is looking for buy, refurbish, refinance properties, or if an investor is looking for rent to serviced accommodation, you might give them a PDF document of top 5 tips for how to set up a serviced accommodation. So it's about tailoring that to the specific investor's needs.
Yeah, really good, really good. I know for me personally, I like to give a little one-on-one sort of consultancy session on how you would invest money. So it can literally be anything. You can write a book. Books are awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people love books. So it doesn't have to be something like that. It can be literally anything, as long as you're adding value, which is the key point, as you said. You want to add value to your investors and constantly remind them of what you're doing. The next thing we're going to be talking about is managing investors. That's point number 3, is managing your investors. So once you have an investor and you're dealing with him, maybe he's bought a deal off you, how do you maintain that relationship so he comes and buys more deals from you? How do you maintain the relationship so that it always runs smoothly and he actually recommends you to other people? The first thing I would say with that is do what you say you're going to do. So if you're saying, I'm going to provide you a deal, provide the deal. You know, when you get in touch with the agents and you tell your agents what you're going to do, always have that integrity about you. If you're going to provide information, you're going to get a mortgage in principle, whatever it might be, always get it done. And give yourself a timeline to say, look, I'll give it to you by Friday, and then deliver it by Friday or before. So always do what you say you're going to do and maintain that integrity. Second thing about that is, if the deal doesn't work, don't sell it to them. You know, if don't try and change after what you've just said. So if you told them it's going to give them £1,000 a month, the deal needs to give them £1,000 a month. So be really honourable about what you say and never lie. And if the deal is no good, give them a refund or find them another one. Whatever works better for your investor, you should know, because you should be speaking to them regularly. Point number 3 is, even if you don't have a deal, you should be sending something to them. You should be telling them that you're still working, show them you're still finding deals, you're still going out, you're still doing stuff. You don't necessarily have to come up with an excuse. You just need to be able to still give them that value for that week or that time when you're gonna be connecting them. So be honest, be integral, and keep in touch with your investors. Yeah.
I think that integral piece is really key, like you say, because I'd rather, you know, go out and view a deal if I've been looking specifically for an investor and say, actually this one didn't pan out once I've done my due diligence on it, than try and just source them a deal that isn't going to work in the long term. So yeah, definitely. So point number 4 is around finding deals then. So with this point, the main thing is to look for what your investors are after. So if you know your investors list, identify the people that are on there and what they're looking for. Don't go out shopping for deals that you might want to buy. Go out shopping for deals that your investors are interested in, because this is going to save you countless hours of sitting in front of laptops or going and viewing houses that are not going to sell on your list, because that just will get you frustrated. James obviously talked already about due diligence, so it's really important to be integral about this. Your due diligence is your pride. This sets you apart from other property sources. So if you've done your due diligence, you know that the deal stacks, you know it works for your investors. I would always encourage all my investors to do their own due diligence, but I know that when they do it, I've been very honest and very conservative with mine, and that we know that it's going to stack up for them in the future. And the last great point I'd add about finding deals is, if you're going to look in an area, have a great power team in the area, because you might have an investor that wants you to offer them some kind of turnkey process, or it might be that an investor just wants you to recommend a letting agent after the deal's gone through. So it's really useful to have these people in the area, so when you are sourcing deals and they say, oh, do you know an SA manager, or do you know somebody that might be able to help me out with the refurb, you can offer that service, and that'll get you the repeat business with the investors.
Yeah, definitely. I know all the deals that I sell, they're all turnkey. So every investor I deal with is actually looking for complete hands off. And some deals like serviced accommodation, I won't sell without a management agent.
And where we always look in our areas, we can always offer some kind of refurbishment process, or sometimes even with the power team, it might be that when we talk about free gifts, we've helped some of our investors already when we've offered rent to serviced accommodation. I've helped them along with the setup process, just because I want them to come back to me in the future. You know, I want them, you know, it's that integral piece again, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing is about marketing those deals that you found to those investors that you keep in touch with. How do you make them buy? Well, the first thing I would do is remember, you should have contracts in place. And when you send out a deal to someone, there should be a very clear process as to how they're going to secure that deal. So are they going to be buying that off you immediately? Do they have to send the money up front? What is it? How do they get in touch with you? They're going to call you? Are you going to call them? So make it really clear, very, 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 very easy for someone to purchase from you. So you should be taking card payments, you should be taking bank transfers. If they really want to give you a check, then you should be able to accept a check. So the first thing is make it easy for them to pay. Second, you don't want to give them too much information. You don't want to make them think about this too much. A good deal is a good deal. It's an investment. It's not an emotional purchase. So yeah, I mean, when they want to, they can have a few photos of the property, and I will tell them the condition, how many rooms it's got, things like that. But initially, it's an HMO. It's a 4-bed HMO. It's in Doncaster. It costs £90,000. Your return on investment is 24%. It's going to give you such and such a month, and that's basically it. That's all they're going to get. They don't need to know anything after that. When they call up, when I speak to them, then it's more about, okay, it will need a license. This is how much license it cost. It's this kind of thing. You're going to need a new kitchen. You're going to paint. You need fire doors, etc., etc. So that's the point. I give them a little bit more information, and after that, I will send over my terms and conditions. They send it back with it signed, and then they pay my fee. And then I'll put them in touch with the agent or with the vendor, or whatever the sort of deal it is that's set up. So make it very easy for them to pay, and then only provide as much information as they need. In fact, coming back to the compliance section there, you're going to need your contracts. So make sure that you have the right contracts in place. The ones I use are standard sort of terms and conditions for sourcing, the way I operate. I have non-circumvention agreements and non-disclosure agreements, so that they have to pay me once I've provided them their deal. And all of these, you should always have them drawn up by a solicitor. Yeah, you could, if you have a friend or something, you could use theirs, but you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you've got your own contracts drawn up by your own solicitor, and they vetted them and they are happy that they will sign them off, and they will back you should you ever have to go to court. So when you're marketing your deals, tailor them to your investors, as you mentioned there. You know, if you've got 50 investors and 49 of them want rent to SA, there's no point sending out HMOs. You should be sending out service departments all day long. So that would be our top 5 tips on how to be a successful property sourcer. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.